Prolific here with Black Mana, and we want to do some Zodiac talk, Zodiac sports.
Yes.
I'm gonna comment on this guy Jimmy Smith, and he came out and he said some things about Ronda, and Ronda has been under fire lately because in her new book she talks about how she feels like she's the greatest, and since Amanda Nunes has come along, nobody really thinks of Ronda Rousey as the greatest anymore. And she's gotten a lot of accolades in the past.
Right.
Joe Rogan saying how great she was, that she could beat everybody. And so I want to explain some of that, some of her mindset, in Zodiac sports here. Like, Ronda is an Aquarius, her moon is Pisces, and then her Mercury is Aquarius. Those are two fixed signs. Like, her life is fixed, how she speaks is fixed, and her Venus is in Sagittarius, and her Mars is in Aries. So the type of person she is, she's a very fiery and mouthy type of person.
Yes,
so
very
she's
much
she's
so.
for real. Like, she was not an act. It was not a gimmick. Okay, she fought. First of all, she never backed out of a fight. None of her fights were ever canceled.
Right.
And she defended her belt 6 times. Okay, and she lost 2 times in a row. Was her sportsmanship sucky? Yeah.
Yeah.
And did did her self-value plummet? Yes. Like, that was very unexpected for somebody like her who was handing out losses to everybody, right? But let's look back at it. 2013 when she, got the belt in the UFC because she brought it over from Strikeforce.
Yeah.
She fought twice in 2013, twice in 2014, and 3 times in 2015. And she never backed out of her fights. Okay? And she was finishing people.
Quickly.
Spectacularly.
Yes.
It was worth the pay-per-view. Okay, so the criticism she's getting now, she kind of bought it on herself by the way she reacted to things. But does she deserve credit, and should she be considered one of the greatest? Yes, absolutely.
Oh, she was definitely one of the greatest.
She never choked. Her biggest problem when she lost her 2 fights was she left her bread and butter, which was judo, and which was submission. She wanted to be a striker, and she happened to come up against 2 of the worst people to try to test your striking against.
Correct.
You know what I mean? She came up against a champion kickboxer.
Yeah, and Holly Holmes.
Holly Holmes. And you want to strike with her when you just are acquiring this skill? So that was stuff. I mean, I have to blame her corner for that. Because if she didn't make any adjustments to that fight, that was her fault. And she should have did her homework with Nunes. Because Nunes got beat by Kat Zingano on the ground. By Kat, who Ronda put Kat out in seconds.
Yeah.
And it's funny because she beat Misha Tate twice, and then Tate she turns around and she fights
Holly Holmes
and she submits her.
Right.
Like, she did what Ronda should have done.
Correct.
So it's like Ronda beat herself in her own stubbornness. And that stubbornness comes from her being a fixed sign. And I know people out there don't understand the whole dynamics of astrology and the zodiac, but her being a fixed sign, it's called fixed because it doesn't like to change.
Right, and that's when you say when you watch the fight and you listen to the way you analyze it through the traits and whatnot, you can see.
Yeah.
So somebody can listen to what you say, go back, watch the fight, and see how things are, or just look at somebody's career and you go, "Oh, I see what you're talking about there." Because first of all, a regular person, after she loses with Holly Holmes, you don't come back and fight somebody the likes of Amanda Nunes to come back.
No.
You don't do that. You don't come with the layoff.
She felt entitled to do that
Exactly.
because what she did for the UFC. And one of the things that she did, which worked against herself, was when she came back against Nunes, she did no promotion. She did no press conference. And she didn't really ingratiate herself. First of all, being a fire sign, she has fire sign traits.
Mm-hmm.
2 things. I'm going to tell you one thing. Being a Pisces moon, which is a water sign, she had the good intuition to read energy. You know what I mean? And she may not even know these things about herself, her astrological traits. But she had good energy. Like, she was able to read energy. Like, Prince is a Pisces moon. My son Jordan is a Pisces moon. Pisces moons are they're workaholics.
Right.
And she was for real. Like, she was not a gimmick. And I said that already. But I don't like how people are coming out and discrediting her just because she had terrible sportsmanship and she was a bad loser. It does not erase what she did.
You're right, but that, like you said, though, it's the way she carries herself that makes people want to be on the other side, despite her talent.
And the thing about it was, she was being herself all along, and it was everybody accepted it.
It was acceptable because she was winning and everything.
She loses, nobody likes it, and that's what she doesn't understand. It's just like, wait a minute, I've been the way I am, and everybody loved me then, and now everybody hates me now, and I'm still myself. I'm still arrogant. I'm still stubborn. I'm still conceited. I'm just a sore loser, And like champions don't like to lose, but she did not handle her conflict well. You know what I mean? Something that we've seen Conor McGregor do. He's handled his losses well. We've seen Mike Tyson grow and evolve into a philosopher. You know what I mean? And these people who have lost, what people want to see is they want to see champions win because they envision themselves as a champion. Win for me. Right. And they also want to see people lose gracefully because you want to look up to those characteristics too.
Yes, exactly. Now that you mentioned that, it was kind of like when Conor McGregor, when he lost to Nate Diaz, it was almost like he won. They was treating him so gracefully, like giving him an interview and the way he was being and all that.
Because he was humbled.
He was humbled, and it was like really appreciative.
Yeah, he was humbled.
Yeah,
he was humbled. So that's the one trait that Ronda is blindsided to.
Okay,
like she doesn't want to be accountable for the way she behaved because she never was held accountable for the way she behaved.
Right,
and now she is, and she doesn't understand why. But I'm here to defend like her credentials. Like, she defended her belt 6 times. She fought 3 times in a year. The fighters don't even do that anymore. And she fought twice in, back-to-back years. And she came through. So, and there hasn't been anybody as spectacular since. I mean, Nunes, she does win. But I'm like, Nunes wasn't putting people out like Ronda was. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like when Ronda was right up there when you saw a Tyson fight. It's just like you knew you was going to get what you paid for.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I mean, you need a whole card to feel like the pay-per-view was worth it now. She was the main event, and you felt like that. Do you remember any of the undercards of her fights? No, because she was so spectacular that you really didn't even care about the undercard. The undercards were good, but you didn't really care or remember that night. You remember the night when she lost, though. I mean, she lost stubbornly. If she would have just changed her strategy,
right,
she could have survived. She could have lost respectfully. But, her arrogance, pride goes before the fall.
Right.
So that's all I wanted to say here. I just wanted to put my defense out there on her behalf because she is as great as she believed she was. And all these people who want to, jump off the bandwagon because she went... First of all, she already said that she wanted to have an after career with the UFC. I mean, not with UFC. WWE. Right? She's Rowdy. She was christened Rowdy. Rousey
with the blessing of Roddy Piper
himself.
Yep.
So it's just like we just didn't expect it to happen so abruptly.
Right, you're correct.
You know what I mean? If she would have just did it differently, that's the best way I could say it. If she'd have done it differently. But another thing I gotta let you know is that since she's a triple theoretical sign, and theoretical sign people, they are very cerebral. They're in their heads. And like she was in her head the whole time. As soon as she lost, like she was gone and she was sulking and she was in her head. She's probably been running this through her head over and like she's tormented by her thoughts. Like theoretical signs, Sagittarius, Pisces, Capricorn, Aquarius, those are the most susceptible to any type of addictions because when you seek escapism. And her immediate escapism was WWE, Okay. She still wanted to compete, but she wanted to have the security of knowing that those fights were scripted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but you gotta have some compassion for her because she made a lot of people entertained and happy when she was reigning. And like, you're not going to see that. I mean, your girl, what was your Joanna Champion? JJ. Yeah, that's right. She came in with the energy right after her, and then Nunez, she retired, and now we have this new one. What's her name again? Amanda. What's her name? Not Amanda.
Nah,
I forgot her name.
name.
She's from PFL fighting. We
it
got to see. You know, she beat Holly Holm. Okay, Holly Holm's 40. Okay, so that's not. She didn't really make a statement with that. You know what I mean? They just gave Holly as a sacrifice,
Basically.
into the welcoming into the UFC. But we got to see what happens. Kayla Harris, that's her name.
Okay.
We got to see what happens, and she's a cancer, by the way. Kayla Harris is a cancer, and we got to see how she does. And she beat Holly Holm, who was a Libra, and since we're on the Zodiac signs, Amanda Nunez, Gemini, and Misha Tate was Leo, and Ronda beat her twice, and her fights were legit. Legit. I mean, she can't help the people. You know, somebody made a statement that your girl, what's her name? The Russian one, who the Russian fighter. What's her name? She fought Nunez twice, and she just lost.
Pena?
No. But these girls, some of these people that Ronda didn't fight yet, they were already around, but she didn't get to them. Like, I don't know if she can be considered that she cleaned out her division, but I think, she beat the people who anybody they put in front of her, she beat. Okay, you can just say that. All right, well, that's all I got to say about that.